What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the appeal pertaining to Lamont Roach Jr. versus Tank Davis when we come right back. Welcome to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean. And if you're here, make sure you please hit the thumbs up. And thanks for all your support. Special shout outs to fam. Greetings back to you. Much love. So we're going to cover a couple of different topics. So what we have is circulating in the boxing news. There was supposed to be a fight between Dillian White and Joe Joyce. Now, in some people's opinion, they will say both fighters are past their best, or they should hang up the gloves, etc. But I think both fighters potentially still have a few miles left on the clock. Dillian White is a type of fighter who he may not be the best fighter, but he's one of the most explosive and exciting fighters. Whenever he's there, he's going for a knockout and he's coming straight for his opponent. And he's trying to land his signature punch, that left hook. Joe Joyce more or less doesn't really have a signature punch. He's been known to be consistent in what he does. He has decent feet, but he has very slow hands. So his punch release is very slow. It looks like his punches won't land, but in most cases, they find their mark. So against Dillian White, it would be a good contrast of styles. In the past, prior to the Zhang fights, Joe Joyce was looked upon as being a person we call the Terminator, because people would hit him with knockout punches and their fist would bounce off his head or bounce off his chin. So people are like, wow, this man has a granite chin. And it wasn't until he fought Zhang for the first time that we ever saw Joe Joyce knocked out. Well, he was back on the rebound and supposed to be fighting Dillian White after another loss that Joe Joyce took to Derek Chisora. Well, here recently, Dillian White was injured. And he went on Talk Sports and basically said that his finger got caught in between some dumbbells in the gym and it damaged his finger. So he couldn't make a fist. So he will have to heal a good maybe 4 weeks at least, if it heals correctly. So with that being what happened or whatnot, Dillian White will no longer fight Joe Joyce at the moment, but Joe Joyce needs a backup opponent, a replacement. And word is circulating that his potential replacement opponent may be Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic, to me, would be a good challenge for Joe Joyce. Filip Hrgovic and Joe Joyce both have common opponents. They both have shared the ring with Daniel Dubois, and they also shared the ring with Zhilei Zhang. So let's rewind back to Joe Joyce versus Daniel Dubois. At this time, people say Daniel Dubois was still trying to find himself, still developing or whatnot. But he fought Joe Joyce. He had some good moments in the fight, but for whatever reason, his punches, as hard as he hits, they could not seem to dent the armor of Joe Joyce. So, mid to later rounds of that fight, what was happening was Joe Joyce, he was catching Daniel Dubois with the same punch. Although it wasn't fast, it was very consistent and the accuracy was there. He kept hitting him on the same eye time after time. Eventually, that eye started to close, and the fear was he had an orbital injury on his eye. According to Daniel Dubois, the pain got very severe, and he ended up taking a knee in the fight. When a fighter takes a knee, that means that they are no longer wanting to fight, and pretty much it's like tapping out in UFC. When a boxer takes a knee, that's basically them tapping out. So the fight was stopped at that point, and Joe Joyce won by stoppage. Now, let's fast forward. Joe Joyce fights Zhilei Zhang. In the first fight, he is stopped, much like the way he stopped Daniel Dubois. Only difference was Joe Joyce didn't take a knee. He kept on fighting, but his corner stopped the fight because his eye looked too bad. So that was a TKO stoppage by Zhilei Zhang over Joe Joyce. They had a rematch. So this is part 2, the follow-up. Zhilei Zhang gets in there, finds his range pretty early, and within a few rounds, he knocks out Joe Joyce out cold. The very first time that anyone has seen Joe Joyce knocked out was by Zhilei Zhang. Now, Filip Hrgovic fought Zhilei Zhang prior to Joe Joyce fighting him. And it was a back and forth, toe-to-toe action fight. It looked like there was a couple times that Zhilei Zhang buzzed Hrgovic, and I'm pretty sure there was a few times that Hrgovic might have buzzed Zhilei Zhang. But the fight, it went to the scorecards, and Hrgovic won by a decision. It was a close fight. So to me, Zhang versus Hrgovic could have went either way. But like I said, the victory was given to Filip Hrgovic. Now, Hrgovic also fought Daniel Dubois. And the way that went was Filip Hrgovic trying to establish his jab. He has decent reach. And he also had said that he had beat Dubois in sparring. Well, Dubois' response was, that was years ago. I was much younger when we sparred. But when we fight as pros, I'm going to beat you. So here comes the day that they fight in their first pro fight. Like I said, Hrgovic is trying to establish a jab, but Daniel Dubois was very smart, finding his range, getting in just close enough to work his jab, because he has a very good jab, and it's a very powerful jab, whether it's a left hand jab or a right hand jab. So pretty much, Daniel Dubois put smart calculated pressure on Filip Hrgovic. and was able to um, establish his jab and take away Philip Herkovic's jab, and was able to pretty much punish him round after round, eventually opening a cut, and the fight will stop due to the cut on Philip Herkovic. So right now, Joe Joyce may fight Philip Herkovic, which I think as a replacement for Dillian White, he's very suitable, he's durable, he has a good jab, and he will look pretty good against Joe Joyce. It will be a lot of in close fighting, I believe, because Joe Joyce is kind of like going to put pressure on you. He makes it easy for you to hit him. At least the last time we saw him in the ring, that's how he was. Unless he made some major adjustments, chances are he's going to be the same guy who is easy to hit. So with him and Philip Herkovic, it could potentially be a situation where Herkovic can stop him like Zhilei Zhang did. I don't think Philip Herkovic hits as hard as Zhilei Zhang, but he has a decent punch output, and with punch accumulation, I think that'll be the deciding factor in their showdown. So let me know what you think. If Joe Joyce does fight Philip Herkovic, what would your prediction be? Please let me know in the chats. And also hit the thumbs up button. All right. So also we have upcoming bout with Ryan Garcia, who people call him King Rye, and he will be fighting Rolly Romero. You got two guys who are they have a cocky arrogance about themselves. They're flashy. They do a lot of talking and all that kind of stuff. But in this first meeting at the press conference, they both seemed somewhat laid back. They didn't come off as their normal selves. But as far as Rolly Romero, if you remember, he fought Tank Davis, and Tank Davis knocked him out. He also fought Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Pitbull Cruz stopped Rolly Romero, dropping him, I want to say maybe twice, maybe three times. But he definitely put a lot of pressure on him, and he had him on Bambi legs for sure in that fight. So what we can see with Rolly Romero is if you have decent power and if you can place those punches and you connect on his chin is average. That being said, if you can place your punch there, chances are you're going to buzz him or hurt him and quite possibly knock him down, depending on the power. I feel that Ryan Garcia has plenty of power. He's known for that left hook. And if that left hook can find home, it's going to really be a long night for Rolly Romero. Because not only does he have a good left hook, Ryan Garcia has fast hands. You know, he has pretty fast hands. So let me know what you think in the chat. Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia. Who wins and how? Please let me know in the chat or in the comment section. Um, we have in boxing news as well. Um, I saw a few things on various podcasts and different links and stuff like that, and it's about Frank Warren going off about the Daniel Dubois situation. For those who may not know, Daniel Dubois pulled out of fighting Joseph Parker on the same card as Shakur Stevenson due to the fact what was revealed later was that Daniel Dubois had some type of infection, I believe, ear infection or something like that. So he wasn't able to fight. Now, on different podcasts and interviews, Joseph Parker was on different interviews, and being that he didn't get a shot at Daniel Dubois, he was saying that he's seen no evidence of an injury or the reason that Dubois pulled out. He's never seen any, I guess, doctor paperwork, this, that, and the other. Well, on the other hand, you got the manager of Daniel Dubois getting very defensive, using cuss words and all that kind of stuff, pretty much saying that he made the statement that Dubois was injured, and pretty much that's what it is. Don't question him. That's just what it is. Is what he was trying to say. But I look at that as, if you have nothing to hide and you know that it's the truth that Daniel Dubois was actually hurt, it wouldn't make you so upset. So to me, it seems like he's trying to get defensive because he knows there's some truth behind the fact that maybe Dubois wasn't that he was fight ready and not to the point of being injured to where he couldn't fight. Now, say that it is true and he couldn't fight due to a ear infection or something. Well, now that he's getting better, why is he not trying to fight Joseph Parker, the original opponent? He's trying to leapfrog past him and go straight to the fight with Usyk. Meanwhile, Joseph Parker is begging for his opportunity and fight with Daniel Dubois. So let me know what y'all think. Is it right if that's how it goes? I understand boxing can be a business, and some people say it's a better business decision for Dubois to go straight to fight Usyk. But is it really right that here is Joseph Parker, here he is, just beat Bacoli, although it was on a short notice. That was not his fault, though. And he's beat Zhilei Zhang. He's beat the last couple of fighters that he's been facing, and somehow he gets like the short end of the stick. Do you think it's right that Dubois would maneuver past Joseph Parker and go straight for Usyk? The way I see it is, Parker should fight, or Dubois should fight Parker. Then the winner of those two fight Usyk. That to me would be the appropriate thing to do, the ethical thing to do. But I don't know how it's gonna pan out. But I would love to hear your opinion. So let me know what y'all think. Should Dubois have to honor his fight with Joseph Parker, or should he be able to get a pass to bypass Parker and go straight for Usyk? Let me know in the chat. what you feel about that situation. Also, there may be a potential fight in heavyweight division with the young Fabio Wardley. And if I'm not mistaken, his last fight was his rematch with Frazier Clark that he won by stoppage. Well, the young Fabio Wardley may be fighting the older Kubrat Pulev. Now, Kubrat Pulev is a guy to where he's rugged and rough, but to me, his age shows in his early 40s. But like I said, I say that he's rugged and tough because he's only been knocked out twice. And the first time was by Klitschko, who could punch. And his second stoppage was by Anthony Joshua. He fought Derek Chisora, and they went to a decision. So the man has a good chin, but I think against a young lion like Fabio, it's not going to end well. I think it's going to be a situation to where Kubrat Pulev may be looking on his back, looking up at the lights. So with that being said, what's your opinion? What's your prediction? Kubrat Pulev versus Fabio Wardley. Should this fight manifest, what would be your prediction? So we have also, speaking of Martin Bacoli, who had to be a replacement not long ago for Joseph Parker. Bacoli will still go on to fight Efe Ajagba on May 2nd. Martin Bacoli of Congo, Africa. Efe Ajagba, Nigeria, Africa. Two gladiators out of Africa. Two different styles of boxing, but two big guys. Every bit of 6'6", maybe 6'7". Both have long arm reach, but like I said, two different styles. I did some film study on Efe Ajagba. He has a very good jab. He does a lot of the 1-2, left, right, left, right, left, right, and then he'll slip in uppercuts. If his opponent steps in towards him within range, he'll throw that uppercut. He has decent combination. He has average hand speed, but like I said, he does throw combinations. He will throw the 1-2 or sometimes the 3 and the 4 punch combinations. He's not really a pressure fighter, but he has a lot of power in his right hand. Now with Martin Bacoli, he's probably going to be a much different style fighter that Efe Ajagba has never had to face before. Martin Bacoli has decent power. Martin Bacoli has a decent chin. Martin Bacoli puts pressure on his opponent. But I think the issue with Martin Bacoli is he can get a little too overzealous. He's not very calculated in his pressure. He just goes in there and starts moving forward. Well, when you do that, you run the risk of being counterpunched. You run the risk of being sidestepped. You run the risk of falling into your opponent's trap if your opponent is setting a trap. Martin Bacoli, to me, so far, seems to have a one-dimensional style. It's effective in most cases. But I guess the question is, will it come to a point where he meets his match with a certain style fighter to where he's biting off more than he can chew? Could that be the case with him facing Efe Ajagba? You have to ask yourself that. So let me know your opinion. Martin Bakole versus Efe Ajagba. What would be your prediction on those two fighting on May the 2nd? And as the main topic, we're going to talk about the appeal that was put in by Lamont Roach and his team, appealing a draw decision in his fight versus Gervonta Tank Davis. So we're going to state some of the obvious, but also I'm going to state things for people who may not follow boxing like I follow it. So basically, Gervonta Tank Davis is dubbed as the face of boxing. At 135 pounds, when you say Gervonta Tank Davis, if you know boxing, you pretty much know he's a top name. He's a ticket seller. He packs out stadiums in America. Pretty much anywhere he goes, he's going to sell out. So he has a very high marquee value and is very reputable and respected. Lamont Roach is a good fighter, but he's not near as known as Tank Davis. But now that he has actually fought Tank Davis, his name is ringing bells all around the boxing world. So, given the circumstance of Tank Davis being the face of boxing, like I say, he's marketable. He's selling out. He's the champion. This, that, and the other. The appeal went in his favor when it was all said and done. Lamont Roach lost his appeal. The appeal was for the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis, I believe in round 9, he took a knee. Not only did he take a knee in that round, after taking the knee, he looked over to the corner, got up, and walked towards the corner. So basically, experts are saying that's 2 violations. That he took a knee, and then he turned his back on his opponent. Then when he got over to his corner, I believe it was Coach Calvin Ford, met him with a towel and wiped his face off. And then the fight continued. Now, in the mix of all this, the referee, I can't think of his name right now, but the referee, his picture's in the thumbnail. He starts to count actually. When Tank Davis took a knee, he started to count, but then he stopped counting. But then he also went up to Davis and said, "Hey," pretty much like, "Look, man, you can't take a knee like that because pretty much when you take a knee, I'm thinking that you're hurt or you're, this, that, and the other." And then the fight continued. Well, on the side of Tank Davis, I heard certain people say that had that been ruled a knockdown, that the round that he took a knee in, it would have been a 10-8 round. So Lamont Roach would be up by 2 points. So they were saying if Tank had knew that, he would have performed differently, knowing he would have to catch up to kind of counteract, the argument or whatever. So it's kind of a crazy situation or whatnot, because I could understand the side of Roach and his team. Hey, if you credit me for a knockdown against Tank, that means I won this fight. If it's overturned, I'm the champion. I won the fight. I get more. I'm more valuable on a markability level. I'm the champ now because I took the belt from the champ. So I can understand the angle of Team Roach. So I'm gonna try to keep it straight up and down without no bias. So I do understand that. But then too, it's unfortunate, but in most cases, you have to beat the champ convincingly. And for the fight to end in a draw means that you didn't beat the champ convincingly. You did a lot better than what was expected. And nobody thought that you would do as good as you did. But I feel that as I believe it was Teddy Atlas and a few other people, you know that if you rematch Tank Davis, you have to do just a little bit more. You have to do a little bit more in a rematch than you did in the first fight. It can't be a back and forth fight. It got to pretty much be a situation where you turn up enough to get ahead enough rounds to be somewhat comfortable. So you need to win that next fight 8-4. No 7-5. No 6-6. It has to be at least 8 rounds, Lamont Roach. That way, you know you got a widespread of margin to give you a victory. But speaking of this appeal, I would like to know your opinion. Do you agree with the decision? So let me know either in the comment section or the chat. Let me know your opinion on that. Also, when I was speaking about the Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero bout, there's also going to be on that same card Devin Haney. His first fight, I want to say, since the whole controversial fight that he had with Ryan Garcia, where he lost, but it was overturned. And they took the loss off the record of Devin Haney. So I say that to say sometimes appeals, they do work in your favor. Devin Haney is a testament to appeal being honored in his favor. They took the L off his record, and now he's back at 0 losses. It's ironic that he's going to be fighting on the same card as Ryan Garcia, the person that he wants to rematch eventually, and the person that he felt cheated using performance-enhancing drugs. So it's kind of crazy these guys both end up on the same card, but not fighting one another. Devin Haney will be fighting Ramirez, and on that same card, Barboza will be fighting Teofimo Lopez. For those who know Teofimo Lopez, he is very he's a showboat for sure. He's a showboat, kind of like back in the day. what was his name? The Prince. The Prince, the boxer that went by the name the Prince. I can't think of his name. Oh, Prince Nassim. Prince Nassim was very boisterous and over the top. You know, there were certain fights where he won by knockout, and after he knocked out his opponent, he would do a handstand in the ring, in the middle of the ring. You know, off the wall stuff. One or two fights ago, Tafime, he came out there like he was in a circus. I think he had like a like the circus music as he's doing his ring walk, and it was over the top, you know. So that's what you get when you're dealing with Tafime Lopez. I guess the question would be, when he does fight Barbosa, will he be showboating on that ring walk that night? Barbosa looks very focused and very ready. And Barbosa's a pretty good fighter. He looked good against Catterall, Jack Catterall. He won by decision. Back and forth fight, a pretty close fight. Some people may not agree with the decision that Barbosa won against Catterall, but if we recall, Catterall won a fight and people didn't agree that he should have won that fight in a close decision. So maybe this is just a situation of karma, where he won a fight that he should have maybe lost, but then the fight that he should have won, he ended up losing. So that's just boxing, y'all. It happens. Especially when you have a close fight. You know, decisions, they won't always be a draw. Sometimes it's going to be a split decision, 7-5 rounds. So those are the type of fights that are worth going back and watching that fight again. The Tank versus Roach fight was a very much a chess match. Roach did all the things right. He did all the things that no opponent has ever done against Tank. You know, Frank Martin looked very good as long as it lasted, moving around, but he seemed like he was very fearful of the power of Tank. Lamont Roach, on the other hand, he didn't show the fear. Even if he had fear, he wasn't showing. He was standing toe to toe. He was being very smart. He wasn't getting pushed back on his back foot. He wasn't having his back against the ropes. He tried to stay in the center of the ring, and he was very defensively sound and very smart. And he was able to be defensively smart enough to where, as powerful as Tank is, especially with his left hand, he was able to deflect a lot of punches from Tank, or a lot of punches were not landing flush because of the body, the upper body movement of Lamont Roach. Also, Lamont Roach was showing that he could be a very good counterpuncher as well, because Tank is known for his counterpunch ability, but Lamont Roach shows in this fight that he's a great counterpuncher as well. He has a very good ring IQ. So I'm looking forward to seeing a rematch. If it happens, great. It doesn't have to be an immediate rematch. I also saw on social media that Shakur Stevenson had offered a fight to Lamont Roach. So just by him giving Tank the toughest fight of his career, it opened up a lot of doors for Lamont Roach. His name is buzzing all over the boxing world. And if I'm not mistaken, he started off as a Pro Box TV fighter, Lamont Roach. He has a lot of history with Tank Davis. From the amateurs, they fought like twice. So he understands a lot of things that Tank does as a professional, some of the things he does as a professional are some of the same things he did back then. And he was able to capitalize on any small margin of error on the side of Tank Davis. And that's what boxing is all about. A lot of time, it's about power to an extent. It's about technique, but it's also about mental. If you're smart and you have a ring IQ and you have a great blueprint and a game plan, you'll be shocked. And I think that Lamont Roach and his team, his dad, his team, they had the perfect game plan for Tank Davis. They were not letting him get off certain things that he gets off. They were not falling for the bait. They were not letting Tank set up traps like he did against Rolly Romero or Santa Cruz. They were very, very smart in their approach to fighting Gervonta Tank Davis, who was known as the face of boxing. So let me know what you think for Lamont Roach, for the future of him. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear about him a lot more. So do you think it will be a good fight, style-wise? Lamont Roach versus Shakur Stevenson? Is that what we might see next, y'all? Let me know your opinion. And if it is the case, what is your prediction? Roach versus Shakur Stevenson. What would your prediction be? And speaking of these three guys, Roach, Shakur, and Tank Davis, Danny Garcia did an interview, and he talked about Roach versus Tank style wise, but he also talked about Tank versus Shakur Stevenson, should that fight ever happen. And he pretty much said it'd be a good fight, but he's definitely going to edge Tank Davis to beat Shakur Stevenson. If it happens, which I hope it happens this year or next year, I see Tank Davis beating Shakur Stevenson. True enough, Tank didn't look so good against Lamont Roach, but I feel like there's certain intangibles and certain things that Lamont Roach did that Shakur Stevenson won't do. Lamont Roach doesn't do a step back a lot. He was pretty much meeting Tank in the middle of the ring. Lamont Roach had decent power, and it looked like a few times he might have buzzed Tank Davis. Whereas with Shakur Stevenson, he doesn't have the level of punch power that Lamont Roach does. Shakur Stevenson is not known to stand in the pocket and trade like Lamont Roach did against Tank Davis. I see more or less with Shakur Stevenson is going to be a situation to where he is on his back foot, and he's going to be try to be smart, and he will throw a couple of combinations. He will try to tie up Tank Davis and try to do this the whole fight. Just stay on his bike, move around, throw a couple of flurries, clinch. That it would probably make for a pretty boring fight. But let me know your opinion, y'all. Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. If we get that fight this year or in 2026, what is your prediction? Let it be known in the chat room or in the comment section. And to everyone out there who is on here today, I want to say thanks. I know some people may get on here later after the fact. That's fine. If you don't catch me during my actual live, you can still get on here and leave comments at a later time. You can still get in the chat and comment at a later time. That's what's so cool about this. So it's like an open floor, and it's like a revolving door that's always open. So if you want to weigh your opinion about a certain topic of today, jump in the chat or go to the comment section. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, and we'll be talking some more stuff as it develops throughout this week on next Sunday. And we will try to do this every Sunday going live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the USA. So make sure that you hit like, you subscribe, tell a friend or two, a friend or three. Spread the word, share the link on FB or whatever platform you're on. Spread the word. Is definitely growing every day. And special shout outs to Meech Gotti, who I did an interview with, and that video is up as well. So check out that interview with me and Meech Gotti. I shared it on my FB, but it's up here on YouTube, y'all. Also, if you go to the description, we have merch. So go there if you like these hats here or the t-shirts. Make sure that you place your order anywhere in the world. They deliver internationally. And right before I close all the way out too, I will be featured in a magazine here here soon. A magazine here in the city of Cincinnati that is really starting to spread abroad. So be looking out for that. Once it's done, I will be sharing it all on my different platforms and social media. More than likely to be up here on YouTube here in the future. So be on the lookout for that article of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast and things like that. So again, thank you. Much love, peace, and I'll catch you on the next round.